Getting me excited up in here.
All right. Oh.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, let us, if you please, prepare ourselves for the lesson. Father, we pray that you give us direction in your words as we honor you today. Salah.
Salah.
The title of this teaching, ladies and gentlemen, is The Bewitching and Brainwashing of America. America is the world's leading brainwashing and bewitched country in the world.
That's right.
People want to use the expression and say, well, brainwashing, not brainwashing, but witchcraft and all those things that happens in Africa. Au contraire. There has been no witchcraft. There's been no bewitching like what America has done. In fact, the bewitching of America is so powerful that even today in 2020, it is still drawing people from every part of the globe to come to it. Because it's fooled people into believing you can have the American dream.
That's true.
Everybody comes. Everybody believes that in the country where they were struggling and they were poor and disenfranchised, here in America they can come and become a somebody. But that's a lie.
That's right.
That's part of the brainwashing. It's part of the bewitching. Why is it so important for us to understand this point before we start getting scriptural? It's because even in this particular age that COVID-19, the coronavirus, has made an indelible impact on the world, it let you know that the enemy has the ability to stop the whole world from moving. Now, one would turn around and say, well, God is behind it. Yes, he is. There is nothing that happens in this world that the Most High God is not aware of. And there's nothing that happens because he did not wish it to happen. But what you must understand is if the Most High God, our Abba, our Father, had made this happen, there must be something detrimental down the road that's about to happen. There must be. Because when has this ever happened? Never. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with this understanding, we know that we are in a game changer, where this particular age will become the new normal. Please make a note of that word. The new normal. The new normal. Let's just quickly look at the word brainwashing and the word brainwashed so that we understand where we're going. It's very important that we understand the choice of words that we're using here. Brainwashing is the process of pressuring someone into adopting a radical, different belief by using systematic and forcible means. Systematic and forcible means. Now, if you keep those words in memory, you'll see that this has been the process of Esau from the beginning. He's been using this. He's just got better at it. Then the word brainwash. Brainwashing is something that you're doing in the process of. Like you're washing your clothes, you're in the process of doing it. But something that has been washed, it's already been done. So for someone that's been brainwashed, they've already done it to you. You just don't know it. And that is how many of our people are in existence today, not realizing that they've been turned, that they've been tarnished, they've been adjusted to think a certain way, and not even realize that the enemy has had a hand in touching your mind, your soul. To take it further, in case there are any doubters among us, let's just look at the word brainwash for a moment. It's making someone adopt a radically different belief. So one is forcing and one's making someone adopt it. You've been hearing it said that this, in terms of wearing masks and all of those things, is going to be the new norm. They're going to now notice something that was only cost you just a few dollars to get. Now you're paying top dollar for a mask. And it's going to reach the point where people are going to go almost undetected. Now watch it now. You've got to look further. Please learn as a people of the Most High God to look further than where you're looking right now. If you're going to have your face now masked, how are they going to know who you are?
Yeah, exactly.
How are they going to differentiate between one man and another man, or one woman and another woman, or is this a man or is this really a woman? How are they going to know? Remember years ago, this whole scenario raised its head slightly when it came down to those who were from the Arab country and were traveling through. This was before 9/11, and there were men dressing up like Arab women with the face mask and the whole garment, and because of a religious belief, they couldn't pat them down or touch them. And men were being brought into the country illegally that way. They were using it there because they recognized you couldn't tell the difference. And remember, most radical men from those eastern parts, they had beards, so they couldn't cover up the beard, so they needed a mask. Now, think about that with the advent of 5G. 5G, remember, is going to give them the ability that they will be able to know who a person is, whether they're masked or not. Because remember, with 5G, and some of you in this country, it's started but not being publicized as much. But over in the UK right now, there are 5G towers being put up everywhere. On your street lamps, they're putting those microwave systems on them.
That's right.
On street lamps. Why? Because now they can use that, and they can scan a whole row, a whole street, a whole neighborhood without even leaving their office because of the microwave used from 5G. By the way, 5G, the system of radiation, has been in use since World War I and developed further and greater in World War II. In fact, they used it to poison many of, do you know those women who used to go and stand and protest that they chained themselves to some of these nuclear sites and saying, get your nuclear things out of here? Well, you know what, when they were under those wires and they chained themselves to it, did you know that they sent a low-grade dose of radiation? And all of those women are dead today and all died of cancer. Now they can kill you without even having to put a gun to you. So now, knowing this, that we're in this age of where the enemy is using technology, now let's get to the crux of this. Who is all this for? It's for a particular group of people that they don't want to hear.
That's right. Come on.
So before I go any further, quickly go with me. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. For a quick moment, 2nd Ezra. I'm going to flip back on the forward a little bit because my mind is jumping around a little bit. So let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 16. 2nd Ezra chapter 16. And I want us to read verse 15, if you please.
God. In the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 15.
Yes, sir.
Verse 15 on page.
In fact, why don't we begin at verse 13?
Yes, sir. On page 34, 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 13. For strong is his right hand,
Read.
that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp,
Read.
and shall not miss. when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world.
So the Most High has already made a statement from his word that when he gets ready to shoot his bow, in other words, when those missiles from the different parts of the world begin to shoot and to set off, the targets that they have been set to hit, it shall not miss. And if you're not writing this down, you're making a great mistake. You need to be making notes here. Read further.
Verse 14. Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not.
Hold it. Read it again.
Behold, the plagues are sent.
Behold, the plagues are sent. So the enemy has already started his action. And remember, the Most High is behind all of this. He's making this happen because he's setting up a scenario for what's going to take place in the future. So it says, go ahead, sir, read.
Behold, the plagues are sent.
Read.
And shall not return again.
When those things go out, they're not going to return again. Read.
Until they come upon the earth.
So it's been sent and it's been upon the earth. The whole earth. The whole earth. Did the whole earth not stand still just a few months ago? Do we think it's over? No, it's not over. It's not over yet. In fact, and let me hold my peace. Read on.
Verse 15. The fire is kindled.
The fire what?
The fire is kindled.
He says the fire is kindled. So what? When we use the word kindle, it means then the Most High, blessed be his name, he's starting to get the fire going. So this plague situation that we're dealing with, this COVID-19, it's the stirring, it's the poking, it's the beginnings of a fire. The fire isn't here yet. People think, oh, well, it's happened. Oh, we're waiting for the worst of it to be over and then we're back to normal. There's no normal. This is the new normal.
That's right.
This is the new normal. Hey, read it again. Read 15 again.
Verse 15. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out.
And it will not be put out. So this situation is not going to come to an end. Oh, we're going to find a cure. You're never going to find a cure. Whatever you find is only going to help to bring the symptom under some form of control. They've been trying to cure cancer for the longest time. Have they ever? No. That's one of the punishments of the Most High God. You're never going to do that. He sends it so that those of you that he wants to put in judgment will be in judgment. Oh, but what about the children of the Most High God who've got cancer? What about them too? We're under judgment too. Remember, we are on our prison island. Some prison island is called America. Some prison island is called the Caribbean. And some prison island is called other parts of the world. But wherever our people are, we are serving a sentence for our disobedience of breaking these laws, statutes, and commandments.
That's right.
And that will not be lifted until he returns. So go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Sorry, may I say something?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I want to say is also, Esau himself, the doctor himself, said it will get worse again himself.
Gone.
He said that himself. It's going to get worse.
So he's already told us that this thing is going to get worse before it gets better.
That's right.
In fact, there's no end to it. But read that again, sir. Read it again.
The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth.
Jump now to verse 18. In fact, jump to verse 17 and then 18, and then we'll quickly move on.
Verse 17. Woe is me. Woe is me.
So here is he saying, destruction has come upon me. That's what woe means. Destruction has come upon me. Read.
Who will deliver me in those days?
We are in those days now. Who is going to deliver us? Who's going to set us free from this antic that the enemy has set? Who's going to do it? Read.
In the beginning of sorrows and great mourning.
This is the beginning of sorrows and great mourning. Have we not seen the world mourn? Have we not seen sorrows?
Yes.
And they think that this is it? Oh, contraire, my brother. It's going to get worse. Go on.
The beginning of famine.
This beginning of famine. So remember, we just had the plague. Plague ain't finished yet. Pardon my double negative. Isn't finished yet. So since the plague has come, then it says what's going to come next?
And great death.
Great famine and death. Go on.
The beginning of war.
The beginning of wars. Read.
And the powers shall stand in fear.
And the powers are going to stand in fear. Those who are in government, those who are in leadership are going to look and say, what is going on? What's wrong with the world? Read, sir.
The beginning of evils.
The beginning of evils. Read on.
What shall I do when these evils shall come?
What shall I do when these evils shall come? Well, let's look at it. Some of the evils has already begun. How did it begin? It began with a ploy from the enemy who has begun to infiltrate our children. They taught our children about certain words. One of those words, which is a commonality today, is the word black. Black. Black has become so popular because it has been used in pop culture and everything else across the globe. So much so that in the schools they teach our youngsters that the word black, it's a bad thing. Black is not good. And by the way, in case you are still half asleep, let me wake you up and tell you, the word black has been used in every nation for something negative. Every nation. You name the nation, that word black has been taught in the schools as something negative. Now, when they're taught those things, what's some of the things that they're taught? They're taught about the Black Plague. All remember the Black Plague?
Oh, yes.
Black Plague, which was a type of bubonic disease. Yeah. They were taught about the Black Death. That was another description of another plague. Yeah. They're taught about black magic. Oh, black magic, not good. And they're taught about the Black Knight. He's the horrible knight. He's not the one with the shining armor. He's not Sir Lancelot. Right. So everything negative is black. And then sadly, among the children who are sitting in the classroom hearing this, then they turn around and look at their friends and look at themselves and say, hold on, I'm black. So now the question is, am I bad too? Am I something not good? So you're seeing now how the systematic changing and the mind washing of our children is affecting their future by what's being told and how certain words are being used. Are you seeing this, ladies and gentlemen? So we're living in an age where we have truly been bamboozled. Now watch this. If we ask the question then, and remember I'm dealing with my preamble before I get heavily into scriptures, then you have to ask yourself, why is it then that the police have a fear towards us? Well, could it be because they came up through the school system as well? Could it be that everything that they've seen that has been associated with negativity towards black, that when they're out and they see black acting a certain way, they're quick to draw their gun to shoot you? So have we created a stigma that automatically makes the law enforcement officers want to destroy you or take you out of this life? They've done it through the word black.
Yes, that's right.
Now, to take you even further, now, ladies and gentlemen, please do note this down because you're not going to remember it. Color is associated with culture indifferences. Culture indifferences. In other words, black people are the only group in the United States of America that are designated racially as opposed to geographically. Here's what I mean. Do you ever say to the yellow man, who they called it Chinese? Do you ever say to the yellow man, well, you yellow man, go back to your own country? Well, if you told the yellow man to go back to his own country, even though we know he's not yellow, where do you think he would go? All right, come on.
Go back to China.
China. See, you all know that, right? Go back to your own China. Go back to China. But now when you say to the black man, go back to your own country, is there a country called black?
No, there's not.
So how can you go back to something that doesn't exist?
That's right.
Because they took you away from your culture. They took you away from your country. And they've stolen everything about you. They've stolen your wares, your dance, your music, how you sing, how you act. I see more white people singing like us today,
Yes.
dressing like us, walking like us, using our slangs today. Even in the news, you'll hear them use the slang.
Yes. Yes.
Our culture has affected every nation under the sun. You go to Japan, they're trying to speak like you over there.
Yes, they are.
You go to the Arab nation. I heard an Arab nation rapping the other day, and I said, what the heck is this?
Yes. Pakistan.
And they were rapping, and they had their hands up, and they were doing, and they were moving the whole night. Excuse me, I'm a little bit behind the times. And they were doing all of that, and then you hear the Germans doing it, and you hear the French, and the Portuguese. Every language under the sun is acting like you, yet they hate you,
Yes.
but they want to be like you.
Yes. Yes.
This is the world we live in.
That's right.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have to take a look now at the other one. We've looked at brainwashing. Now let's look at witchcraft before we get into the scriptures. When we're dealing with the word witchcraft, it means the practice of magic, especially, here it is, black magic, used for spells. In the modern day context, it is religious practice involving magic and also using the purposes of nature and pagan traditions. Bewitching, notice, witchcraft and bewitching. Bewitching now is being charmed. When someone bewitches you, they're charming you. So, and that's why you're reading. In fact, let's read that. Go to Galatians chapter 3 and verse 1. Galatians chapter 3 and verse 1. Let's just quickly go there so that we can understand the word bewitching to some degree and how it happened even in the church. Let's read it. Galatians chapter, what did I say? 3 and 1. Let's read.
It's the book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 1. Oh, foolish Galatians.
So it begins by saying, oh, foolish, oh, sottish Galatians. And by the way, for those of you that say, oh, well, see, the Most High God, he's out for everybody, every people, because he's writing here to the Galatians. Hold up a moment. Hold the phone. Here, he's speaking to the Jews who were scattered in Galatia. This was not to the other native Galatians. This was to the Jews who had become Galatians.
That's right.
To prove that, we won't read no more of that just yet, but hold it. Run to James chapter 1 and 1. Let's read that real quick. Let's let James, the brother of Jesus, as many of you know him as, and let's see what he tells us. Read for me.
The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Read.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus the Christ.
So as a servant of God and of the Lord, Yahushua Yamashiach, read.
To the 12
To
tribes.
who?
To the 12 tribes.
To the 12 tribes, read.
Which are scattered.
Which are what?
Which are scattered.
Which are scattered where?
Abroad.
Abroad.
Greetings.
So now we're seeing that this Galatia that he's speaking to the 12 tribes that have been scattered throughout all the world as we know it. And so when we get back to Galatians chapter 3 and verse 1, thank you, Most High, let's read it again.
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 1. O foolish Galatians,
Read.
who have bewitched you?
Who has bewitched you? Who has charmed you out of the thing that you once knew to be right? Who has done that? Who's bewitched you? Finish it, please.
That ye should not obey the truth.
See? You are obeying the truth. You are following the laws, statutes, and commandments. Who has charmed you? Who has bewitched you out of the truth?
Come.
Read.
Before whose eyes Yahushua the Mashiach have been evidently set forth, crucified among you.
You know that he was crucified for you, for your sins and your trespasses. He did it for you. And here you are, allowing yourself to become hoodwinked. Here you are, allowing yourself to become bewitched by those. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and 1. Let's go there real quick if you don't mind. 1 Timothy chapter what?
4 and verse 1.
Let's read.
1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1.
Read.
Now, the Spirit speaketh expressively.
So the Spirit now is speaking expressly. Go on.
That in the latter time.
That where?
That in the latter time.
In our time now. We are the ones living in the latter times. We are the ones. Look around real quick. All the people you see in here now, they are the people of the latter times who this writing is all about. Read on, sir.
That in the latter times some shall depart from the faith.
So this bewitching is so powerful that those who wake up to the truth, they're going to let themselves be sucked out and depart from the very thing that was going to save them and make them a part of the 1/3. Now they're going to be relegated to the 2/3 of destruction.
Come.
Finish it for me.
Giving heed to seducing spirits.
Giving heed to what?
Giving heed to seducing spirits.
To seducing spirits.
And doctrines of devils.
And teachings of devils.
Come.
Isaiah 29 and 13, real quick, please. Isaiah chapter, what did I say?
29 and
13.
13.
Let's read.
Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 13. Wherefore the Most High said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth.
With their what?
As much as this people draw near me with their mouth.
With their what?
With their mouth.
With their mouth, go on.
And with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men.
By the precepts, by the teachings of men. Men have now whittled themselves in there. Our people are destroyed now because we're listening to the precepts, the doctrine of devils, men. Jump to verse 16.
Verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down.
Hold it. So they're doing what? They're turning things upside down.
That's right.
Go on.
Shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say unto him. So
let's back up on that just a quick minute. So now it's telling you that the clay is telling the maker, you did it wrong.
Come.
And that means there are people today who are men saying, I should be a woman. There are women who are turning around saying, I should be a man. That's what we're reading here. Read it from the top again for me.
Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay.
Read.
For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding?
He had what?
He had no understanding.
He had no understanding. You are telling the thing that's making you, you're telling him who knows what you ought to be like, that you don't know what I'm meant to look like. You don't understand what's going on inside of me. You see a man, but deep down there's a woman. What are you talking about? Shut your mouth.
Come.
Huh? Come on, I mean, let me behave myself right now. Let's take it a step further. Let's, if you please, let's jump back up to verse 9.
Come. Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 9. Stay yourselves.
Well, hold it. What did it say?
Stay yourselves.
Stay yourselves. Stay how you're meant to be. Keep yourself right. Stay righteous. Stay good. Go on.
And wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine.
With what?
But not with wine.
Go on.
They stagger, but not with strong drink.
But not with strong drink. Now, I think I'm going to take a minute here, and let's see if we can break this down a little bit. Let's precept this, if you please, with Colossians chapter. We're going to come back here, so don't lose this. Don't lose Isaiah 29. We're going to keep coming back here. But let's go to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8, please. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Read what you got when you got it.
Yes, sir. The book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you.
See? So now, what Isaiah is telling us in terms of stay your ground now. Hold fast to who you know you are, what you are. Hold it. He says, if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Because here it says, let's read it again, sir.
Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you.
So there are men who are out to spoil you. Let's see how they're going to spoil you. Read.
Through philosophy.
Through what?
Through philosophy.
Through philosophy. Man's veins. The word philosophy comes from the word phileo sophia. Phileo sophia. One means the love and the other means knowledge. So, phileo is the love. Sophia is the knowledge. So, it's the love of knowledge. Phileo Sophia, where we get the word philosophy. So now, when it tells us, it says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and what now?
And vain deceit.
And vain deceit. That's now witchcraft. Now, isn't that something? Now you're beginning to see that the actions of witchcraft is happening around us. It's just that today we don't call it that. We call it by other fancy words. But you're still being bewitched. Read on.
After the tradition of men.
After the traditions of men. Men's traditions. Go on.
After the rudiments of the world.
After what?
After the rudiments of the world.
After the rudiments. The rudiments of what?
Of the world.
Of the world. The rudiments of the world. Who can tell me what the word rudiments means? Can somebody real quickly tell me that? Rudiments. What does the word rudiments mean? Practices, principles. So here we are after the rudiments of the world, and now he's going to tell you,
and not after the Mashiach.
And not after the Mashiach, not after Christ. So now when we go back, let's go back now to Isaiah. Now let's jump to verse 10.
Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 10. For the Most High have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep.
So he's poured out upon you the spirit of deep hypnotic sleep. The Most High has done that. Why? Because, listen up, ladies and gentlemen, please get this. My brothers who are listening to this via the internet, I want you to get this. Don't be upset if you don't understand this teaching. Don't be upset if you're just not compelled to jump on board and know who you are and prepare yourself for the kingdom of the Most High God. Don't worry about it. And you too, sis. Don't worry about it. Why? Because if you don't get it, it's because the Most High don't want you to get it. Because it says so here. It says, let's read it again if you please.
Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 10. For the Most High have poured out upon you.
Hold it. So it said, He has, our Father, Abba Yah, He has poured out on you the Spirit that will do what? Go on.
The Spirit, Salaki, have poured out upon you the Spirit of deep sleep.
Of deep sleep. So you're asleep. You're walking around. You're still living like a normal person, but you're really in a sleep. You are in the matrix, and you haven't taken the tablet that's causing you to see the real goings on.
God.
You're still locked into the matrix.
That's right.
Isn't that something? Finish it, sir.
And have closed your eyes.
And I've done what?
And have closed your eyes.
And I've closed your eyes. Let's see how. Read.
The prophets.
The what?
The prophets.
The prophets. Read.
And your rulers.
Read.
The seers.
Read.
Have he covered.
And he's covered them. That's why many of you are going to these Sunday churches not realizing you're worshiping on the wrong day. Yes, sir. You got one? Hit it for me.
St. John chapter 12 and verse 39.
Read.
Therefore, they could not believe because that Isaiah said again.
Read it again from the top.
St. John chapter 12 verse 39. Therefore, they could not believe.
Read.
Because that Isaiah said again.
Isaiah said again. Read.
He have blinded their eyes.
He has what?
He have blinded their eyes.
He has blinded their eyes. Go on.
And hardened their hearts.
And their hearts are hardened for the truth. Can't receive it. Go on.
That they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them.
So, what's happening to you is that the Most High has done that to you. You just read where it's made it very clear. The prophets, the rulers, and the seers, He has covered them. And some of you are going to churches where you're not getting the truth. I'm sorry to declare that to you, and I know you're going to get upset with me. Some of you have even switched channels at this point. That's okay, bruh. I'm trying to let you know. I want you to get the truth. Sis, I want you to get the truth. This is the last and closing stages of time. We're in the last days. So, and we just read, officer here just read it. It's letting you know He has closed your eyes. He has shut you up. In fact, let's take it a step further. Go to Psalms chapter 69 and 23. Psalms 69 and, what did I say? 23. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 69 and verse 23.
Watch this.
Let their eyes be darkened, that they see not.
Let their eyes be darkened. So what? Read it again.
That they see not.
That they see not, and do what?
And make their loins continually to shake.
They will be in a state of continual fear. Fear is a terrible thing because, you know, when fear really hits you, it makes your stomach begin to shake. Makes you feel like you want to be sick. That's the stage we're heading towards. That's the future of this country and the world, but more so this country because you are living in Babylon the Great. Oh, how do you know? The Bible says so. Run with me, if you please, to Isaiah 44 and verse 18. Isaiah 44 and 18. Let's hit another precept before we read on.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 44 and verse 18.
Read.
They have not known nor understood, for He hath shut their eyes.
Read it one more time for me, please.
Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 18. They have not known nor understood, for he hath shut their
He
eyes,
has shut their eyes, read.
that they cannot see.
They cannot see. They're trying to see, they can't see.
Come.
Preacher, I want to see what you're seeing, but I just can't see. Read.
And their hearts, that they cannot understand.
And their hearts, meaning the word heart in the scriptures means your mind. Because you understand from your mind, not from your heart. Your physical heart's a pump. So the heart that the scripture is speaking about is your mind. Are you seeing this? Wow. That they cannot understand. Read it from the top again one more time for those who missed what we just said.
Come, Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 18. They have not known nor understood, for he hath shut their eyes.
He has done what?
For he hath shut their eyes,
Go on.
that they cannot see.
That they cannot see.
And their hearts, that they cannot understand.
They cannot understand. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 29, verse 11 now.
Come, Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 11.
Let's read.
It reads, and the vision of all is become unto you.
Now, vision, remember when you have a vision, that's to see. So it's making it very clear what he's trying. Remember, this is all about seeing now. It said, and the vision of all is become unto you as to the words of the book, or a book. Read.
That is sealed.
That is what?
That is sealed.
That is sealed. So you can't get it because like a book that is sealed and you can't open it, so is this truth to you.
That's
You
right.
can't open it. Oh, I'll go and discover it myself. No, you can't. You have to learn from someone who is sent to wake you up.
Come.
Read on.
Which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this.
Read what?
Read this.
Read what?
Read this.
Read.
I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed.
I cannot because it is sealed. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 9. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 9. Now again, for those of you, especially those of you sitting here right now in this particular class, if you're not, again, let me repeat, if you're not writing this down, you are making yourself ignorant of the truth. Why? Because we are living in the last and closing stages of time where this truth you need to have. Do you know there's many people right now who have made excuses about why they're not at Sabbath, not realizing that the scripture says, forsake not the assembling.
Come.
All over this country, in fact, all over the world, those who should be in Sabbath aren't in Sabbath, and they think they're okay. Do you really? The word forsake then means that you have misunderstood that this was a commandment. It's not suggestion now. It's a commandment. Forsake not the assembling of the saints. But now, when we go further, let's read Daniel chapter 12 and verse 9, if you please.
The book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 9.
Watch this.
And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end.
So we're in the time of the end. That's why this truth is becoming so prevalent. This is why the spiritual maturity, the spiritual understanding of the men of this age have reached such a climax that they're breaking down scriptures such as never before. Matthew chapter 13. But this is a good one. Matthew chapter 13. Let's begin at verse 10.
Come.
Matthew chapter 13 and verse 10. Let's read.
The book of Matthew, chapter 13 and verse 10.
Watch this now.
And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven.
Go on.
But to them it is not given.
So you get it, you understand it, because it's been given to you, not to them. Oh, but shouldn't you not share it with everybody? No, because it was not given to everyone.
Come.
Well, I don't see that in the Bible. Where in the Bible does it say that? All right, let's take a time out here. Let's take a time out. Let's take a time out for some of you. Go to Psalms 147. Let's go to Psalms. We're coming back to Matthew in a quick minute. Let's go to Psalms 147. Let's go there.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 147 and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob.
So it says, the word was shown unto Jacob, who was our progenitor. Read.
His statutes and his judgments.
Statutes and his judgments.
Unto Israel.
Unto Israel. Unto Israel. I'm not talking about the fake Jews that are over there right now. I'm not talking about them. And I'm not even going to get into that. I'm speaking to the real Jews. Those who were taken away from their country and sold and been used as chattel all over the globe.
That's right.
From the Americas to the Caribbean, etc., etc. And those who have been part of the Northern Kingdom that came to the Americas and were in the South America for many centuries.
That's right.
I'm not talking about that right now. I'm trying to get you to understand that this is for Israel.
Yes.
And we are Israel. And watch what it says. Read.
Verse 20. He have not dealt so.
Hold it. In case anyone thought you stuttered, say it again.
He have not dealt so.
He has not dealt so, read.
With any nation.
With any nation. What are you saying? To any nation? I'm insulted by that. Don't you know who I'm married to? Don't you know who I love? Well, here's the thing. Wherefore, in what the scripture says, not your own agenda. Read it again from the top of verse 20.
Psalms chapter 147 and verse 20. He have not dealt so with any nation.
Read.
And as for his judgments, they have not known them.
They have not known them. They've never been judged by the Most High God. We are the only ones that have been judged and have been taken prisoners of war, sent all over the globe, and we're serving out our sentence.
Right.
Let's go back to Matthew chapter 13.
The book of Matthew chapter 13 and verse 12.
Read verse 11 again so people understand the mysteries.
Verse 11. He answered and said unto them,
Read.
because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven.
Read.
But to them it is not given.
It is not given. Go on.
For whosoever hath, to him shall be given.
Read.
And he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath.
Read.
Therefore speak I to them in parables.
Read.
Because they see not, and hearing they hear not.
There we go. See, we were back to those who could not see. Now he's dealing with the fact that those who couldn't see, now they can't hear, and they cannot speak it. Go on, read it again.
Come, therefore speak I to them in parables.
In parables, read.
Because they see not.
Because they see and they can't see it. Blinded, remember? Go on.
And hearing they hear not.
And hearing, they don't hear it. Go on.
Neither do they understand.
And they don't understand.
Come.
We've been reading about that in the several different chapters we've been to already. But watch this. Let's go to the end with this. Let's just go to the end. Because I was going to stop there, but let's go to the end. Go on.
Verse 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah.
Read.
Which saith, by hearing.
By what?
By hearing.
By hearing.
Ye shall hear.
Read.
And shall not understand.
Read.
And seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive.
Read.
For this people's
For which people?
For this people's
Read.
heart is wax gross.
Wax gross. Read.
And their ears are dull of hearing.
Read on, sir.
And their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes.
Read.
And hear with their ears.
Read.
And should understand with their heart.
Read, sir.
And should be converted, and I should heal them.
Should heal them. Should heal them. Go on.
But blessed are your eyes.
Blessed are your eyes. You who have seen this. You now get it. Your eyes have been blessed. Your eyes have been blessed. Read.
Come. But blessed are your eyes, for they, Salaki, for they see, and your ears, for they hear.
Read.
For verily I say unto you,
Read.
that many prophets and righteous men
And righteous men, go on.
have desired to see those things.
The prophets and patriots of old, they desired to see what you see now. They were hoping. Listen, do you know if you brought back all of those great patriarchs and saints and put them in this time and they saw what we see? Do you know they would drop to the ground and have their head in the dust? Because they're seeing something that was never seen before in the world. We're seeing it, we're taking it for granted. Oh, I just can't wait till we get back to normal. You're never going to get back to normal. This, we just read it in the Apocrypha, this is a setup to bring us into the time of, in fact, let me go back and just read it real quick. It says, from 2nd Ezra chapter 16, it says, verse 18, it says, the beginning.
The beginning of sorrow.
This is the beginning of sorrows. Can't you get it? This is the beginning of something drastic that's about to take place. Go on.
The beginning of sorrows and great mourning.
Read.
The beginning of famine.
Read.
And great death. The beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear.
Read.
The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come?
See, so we're seeing, it's a warning you, it's telling you, get it together. This is the time that you need to be fully aware. The scripture says that, speaks about the virgins and those who slept and those who were awake trimming their lamp. You've got to be trimming your lamp. The trimming your lamp is the preparation, the preparing. And then when we get back to this now, go ahead and read, sir. Read what you read.
Come.
That last verse.
Come. Matthew chapter 13, verse 17.
Good.
For verily I say unto you,
Read.
that many that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things
Read.
which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them.
Read.
Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower.
Of the sower. All right, let's move back to Isaiah. Last verses 12 and 13. So we'll read 12 and 13 and I'll deal with them together because of time. Isaiah chapter 29, 13, 12 and 13.
Come. Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 12. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned.
Go on, sir.
Saying, read this.
Read what?
Read this.
Go on.
I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned.
I am not learned. That's what many are saying. How can I read this because I've never understood it before? How can I understand it now?
Come.
But let's read on. Next verse.
Verse 13. Wherefore the Most High said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me.
And because you see, if you say, I honor the Most High God, and you are still not keeping his statutes, and here is the excuse. Many people are making Galatians chapter 3 and 3 that they get out of jail card. In fact, let's just quickly go there. I didn't want to go there, but I just feel led to go there. Galatians 3 and 3, just when you got it, just go ahead and read. Galatians 3 and 3. All right. And watch how it opens up again, just like he did it earlier on. Go on.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 3. Are ye so foolish?
See, so the term foolish is used with them again because they've allowed themselves to become so caught up, to become bewitched and charmed into something that they should. But go on.
Having begun in the spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh?
Read.
Have ye suffered so many things in vain? If it be yet in vain, he therefore that ministereth to you the spirit and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law?
Works of the law. Go on.
Or by the hearing of faith?
Or by the hearing of faith. In other words, just real brief, I'm not going to spend any time with it. Here is where many of the Christian church use it and say, we're under grace because we're the faith of Christ, and so on. Not realizing that grace that it speaks of is to help you when you fail to keep the law. It's to help you there. When you know you're meant to be keeping the law and you I forgot to do, I should have done that. That grace is to help you get through that. That's where you have the faith in Yahushua. That's what it's for. Tom, you got a precept for me?
Romans.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
The book of Romans, chapter 6 and verse 1.
Good.
What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin?
Shall we continue to break the law?
That grace may abound?
That grace may abound. Shall we continue to go to church on Sunday? Shall we continue to eat shrimp and swine's flesh and all of that? Shall we continue to do that? Go on.
God forbid.
Yah forbid that, man. Go on.
How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
If we're dead to it, how is it that we're able to do it? Have you resurrected yourself to go back to the weak and the beggary elements? All right, let me stop there. Let's get back. I'm getting carried away. All right, let's stay on point. I'll behave myself. All right, so here we are. So we've just read in Isaiah chapter 29, verse 12 and 13. Khan?
We're in the first clause of 13.
All right, let's finish the second clause.
Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 13. Wherefore the Most High said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me,
read,
but have removed their heart far from me.
Go on.
And their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men.
By the precepts of men. That's what we read earlier. Now, if we go from there and we read Matthew chapter 15 and verse 8. Matthew chapter 15 and verse 8. Let's read.
The book of Matthew chapter 15 and verse 8. It reads, this people.
In fact, I'm going to be a little bit harsh. Let's read from verse 7. Let's punch the line a little bit. Let's read.
Come, Matthew chapter 15 and verse 7. Ye hypocrites.
You hypocrites. Go on.
Well, did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying,
read,
this people draweth nigh unto me
read,
with their mouth.
Go on.
And honoreth me with their lips.
Go on.
But their heart is far from me.
Go on.
But in vain they do worship me.
Read.
Teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
The commandments of men. Man-made commandments, man-made rules, man-made things that told you that you should do. When you're not supposed to do that, you're meant to do what the book tells you, not man-made. But we put man-made above his. Isn't that something? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. Why do they not understand? The question is begged to ask. Let's go to Mark chapter 4. And I think I'm going to deal with Moab as well. I'm feeling a bit thirsty. Right, so Moab, we'll deal with him. So Mark chapter 4, Matthew, Mark 4, and let's begin at verse 2.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 4 and verse 2. And he taught them many things by parables.
So parables, it's important for you to learn from. Because we learn from parabolic. What else do we learn from? Allegorical. What else do we learn from? Similitude. The three basic principles from Genesis to Revelation for us to understand the scriptures. Because the Bible is not a novel.
That's right.
You have to go from one page and back to another page and go to another page. That's why it said here a little and there a little. If you're going to read it like it's a novel, you're not going to get nothing out of it. You're meant to pull scripture from scripture so that it will make sense. Let's go on, sir.
Mark chapter 4 and verse 2. And he taught them many things by parables.
Read.
And said unto them in his doctrine, Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside.
Now, it's important that you really follow this. I can't beseech you more than that, because the nugget will help you to understand this parable clearly. Go on, sir.
Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow.
Read.
And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside.
Go on.
And the fowls of the air came and devoured it up.
Go on.
And some fell on stony ground, where it had not much earth. And immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth.
Read.
But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away.
It what?
It withered away.
Go on.
And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit.
And it yielded no fruit. Jump to verse 18, please.
Verse 18.
Follow closely.
And the cares of this world,
And the what?
and the cares of this world,
Read.
and the deceitfulness of riches.
So, it's letting you know that some of us fail to get into this truth because it would, remember, we just read from verse 2 to verse 7 where it said that it was sent forth and the sower went, but it said, hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. So the truth went out to find those who had an ear to hear. But those who had an ear to hear, many who did received it. But then there were those on the other side who said, I don't really want this right now because I'm still in the middle of my contract.
Yeah.
I don't want this right now because I'm about to get on TV. I'm about to sign a recording contract and I'm about to get into films. I'm about to get into the NBA. All of those things, although they have some premise, they are not correct because of the truth. Why? Because they cause the word that's in you to become choked. So when we read verse 18 again, it said, and these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word. Read, officer.
And the cares of this world,
The monies, the position, the careers of this world, go on.
and the deceitfulness of riches,
Because riches in this world is deceitful, go on.
and the lust of other things entering in,
Go on.
choke the word.
See, those things choked what was given to you. The truth was given to you, but you allowed all those other things in the periphery to come in and choke the word and mess up the balance that you had for the truth. Go on.
And it becometh unfruitful.
And it became unfruitful. Go on.
And these are they which are sown on good ground,
Read.
such as hear the word.
Such as what?
Such as hear the word,
Such as hear the word
and receive it, and bring forth fruit.
and bring forth fruit. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, society has been designed to continually brainwash us. Every ad you see, it brainwashes you. And if you don't believe me, let me show you how effective it is. You'll hear an ad on the TV about buying this and buying that. You go to the supermarket, you never had it on your mind. All of a sudden, you see the thing, you go, I'm going to buy that. You didn't buy it because you wanted to. You had been programmed to buy it. The system, the matrix, is really messing with you and you don't even realize it. Are you seeing this, ladies and gentlemen? So now, if we take it a step further, let's go, if you please, to let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 23 and 5. Let's put some precepts to that.